Hey guys, welcome. I'm gonna do a line art tutorial today. I'm just gonna show you some of the basic techniques I use, and then maybe at the end I'm gonna speed it up a bit so you guys can see what I do. This here is a little picture I've wanted to do in full color for a long time. It started off only as this top part here, and then I drew the rest of the body. I drew in the arms, and I think I have a pretty cool picture here. It's just a little character profile picture that I've wanted to do for a while. And yeah, let's get going on that then. The first thing that you have to do when you are doing an artwork, make sure it's big enough. Okay, the bigger it is, the more you can mess up with your line art. Okay, so when you're doing lines and they're very shaky, look at how shaky that is. When I zoom out, it looks much better. So that's sort of the, that's what I'd base my theory on. The closer up you get, the more you can mess up. So I think I want to get up to 300%. So yeah, I zoom in until I see, yeah, that's where I want to be. And then I just change the size of the picture. So I want to go to 300 dpi. Things are just cooler looking in 300 dpi. No, seriously. It's for printing purposes, people. I'm not that dumb. Okay. Pixels, percentage. Sorry guys, I thought it was brain lapse over there. Okay, so let's just wait for it to get bigger. Quickly gonna save it as well. Okay. We are really close in here. Alright. So there it is at 100% size. But you'll see I'll mostly work at about 50% size. Okay, so what we're going to do today is a solid outline. So what I mean by that, it's not going to look sketchy, it's not going to look painterly, okay? It's going to be a solid outline. You are going to know that it is an outline. And then on top of that, we're also going to do some color holds. Now, I know that when people do outline, they use certain layer filters, like multiply or overlay, to make their line arts blend more with the rest of the picture. If you do that, all the more power to you, but I really prefer the amount of control that a really solid outline gives me. So I usually, when I do color holds, I do the color holds. I color the sections of the line arts, the exact color that I want it to be. I do, especially recently, I've just been doing pencil outlines. So I would color sketches, essentially. And that's a lot faster than outlining. Outlining takes a little while, digital outlining. But, if the project requires it, do it, guys. Okay, but enough of this rambling. Let's get going. So what I usually do, after I've made it nice and big, we're going to lighten this up. Okay, and I put the layers here. Normally I wouldn't have the layers, but I put the layers up here so that you guys can see how I organize my layers. I am a neat freak when it comes to my layers because I'm always messing up and I'm always having to go back and fixing it. Organize your layers. So for this one, I'm going to call it head. As for the brush settings, okay, because I want a solid outline, I'm just going to use just your normal brush. The only thing that the pressure sensitivity is going to affect is the thickness of the brush. So I don't want all of this pretty stuff over here. I'm not going to use that. I want a solid line. I want it to be a line. I don't want to be confused about whether or not it's a line. It's a line. I'm also going to use, make it a bit thicker than what you want it to be, so that you don't go around pressing really hard on the tablet the whole time. Your arm's just gonna start feeling like ooh. So make it a bit bigger than you want it to be. So if I look at it like this, 10 pixels really is nice. It's a nice thickness. I really like it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change this up to 15 pixels. Can you see what it does? Yeah, see, I'm not even pressing hard and it's making the very line thickness that I want. So I'm going to remember it. Sometimes I just put it over there. Because you want your line thickness in a certain sense to be uniform. Yes, we're going to vary the line thickness as we go along, but I tend to try to remember what my base line thickness is. As a side note, guys, if you want a more realistic looking picture, remember, the thicker your line art, the more cartoony your picture is going to look at the end of the day. If you have really nice thin line art and you set it to multiply or whatever, it's going to look very natural, it's going to look very painterly, it's going to look, you know, it's going to tread closer to reality, because in reality we don't have outlines per se. However, if you want thick outlines, then color holds are the way to go if you still want that sort of, I would say, that panache. Okay, black outlines are fine. If you like using black outlines, do it. Some illustrations require it. Sometimes it just feels right that you should use a black outline, but I'm not a fan of black outlines overall, so I would usually use color holds. But anyway, so I'm going to zoom in, and I normally don't do the eyes first because I always feel pressured to screw them up. So let's get started. Let me just get on the right layer here. Let's just get started on this. So what I do, okay, let me explain my technique. I do a line. And then if it, like for example, if it's not right, I go again. The whole point is fluidity. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm gonna do this. No, almost. Yeah. And then what I do is I take a nice solid eraser and I just erase it. Okay, I would usually do this as a final touch, so I'm going to leave that for now. And that's how I outline. It's like a trial and error kind of thing. Just do that. It's a bit painstaking, but it's better than like going really slow. Just do it. I don't have time for this, people. Alright, so I'm going to keep going like this. And from here on out, I'm just going to speed the video up. And yeah, I hope I'm not going to go too fast. But anyway, bye guys. Okay, so I thought I'd drop back in and just show you guys how I do a bit more of the cleanup. So I usually start at one point, and then I still take a solid eraser, and I just erase along these lines. And usually I sometimes have to go in and do a bit more refinement, but there you go. And you know, it doesn't need to be perfect, it doesn't need to be completely 100% neat. Because when we zoom out, you'll see, I mean, this is the size that most people might see it. Let's just get it on an even number, 25%. This is the size that most people will be seeing it. And it's going to look like that. So it looks fine, you know, it's not a problem. I also, I didn't say anything because it was going by so quickly, and my sound was disabled. But anyway, I also adjusted the brush size. I made it a bit bigger because when you're doing something like hair, you want a bit more control. So sort of also because the hair is sort of like the frame of the face, which it is. I know that sounds pretty corny, but it is. I want thicker lines there. I want a bit more focus on the hair, especially along the outside lines. That's the eraser. Especially along the outside lines, I really want to border the character in. I don't know a lot about line thickness. I don't know when to use it or where. I usually, especially if it's a pencil drawing, I just try to copy the line thickness that happened in the pencil drawing because it's a very natural process when you're drawing with a pencil. I think that a lot of the line thickness that happens there really happens there for a reason. It usually looks very nice, really looks very appealing. Okay, so let's continue with this. This one should just go in just a bit like that. So I try as far as I can, especially if there's a pencil drawing underneath, I try as far as I can to copy it as much as I can, because I really trust myself with a pencil a lot more than I trust myself with a tablet. I love my tablet. For anybody who's wondering, it's a Wacom Intuos 3. I love it to bits, but it's really, I find it really uncomfortable to draw with a tablet. I mean, for coloring it's great, and for outlining I suppose it's alright, but for the base drawings, I'm not very good with that. So yeah, now that's basically what goes into this. So I'm going to keep on cleaning up these lines, and if anything comes to mind, I'll let you guys know. Okay guys, so before I go, I'm quickly going to show you what it looks like so far. Yeah, that's it. It's just really nice, clean lines. So basically all I do is I do all sorts of crisscross lines, and oh goodness, I missed a spot. Anyway, let's ignore that spot. That spot doesn't exist. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, just a lot of crisscross lines with a cleanup afterwards, and that is how I do line art. If there are any better ways to do it, seriously let me know. I do quite enjoy line art, doing line art to a certain extent, but mostly I try to avoid it as far as possible. So I'll link you guys to the rest of this line art. I'm going to do a time lapse of this, and I'll link you guys to that as well. But if you're not interested in that, hopefully I'll get the coloring tutorial up as soon as I possibly can after this. But thanks for joining in, guys. I really hope this helps, and happy line arting. Bye.